This is Jewell Loyd. Most of you guys know me as a WNBA champion, an Olympian, college dropout, but let's add storyteller to that list. I'm bringing my amazing community, my experiences to you and everyone across the world. Welcome to the warehouse. The interesting thing about this season was I had to learn how to use my voice more too, because I just saw like a different vision for the team, and it did not include me being in my bag.
The 53-point loss then sparks into one of the greatest turnarounds, basically, in not even WNBA history, but basketball history.
Those games were like grueling and possession by possession, we're fighting. I've never been about me.
Yeah.
You know, I just had to do things to help us win.
It takes a lot of pride to swallow to go from a starting role to a six. You were willing to do that.
I've done enough in this league to have my presence be a factor. I mean, you mentioned my name. You're always going to remember, champion, a winner. That's just, what it is. What's up, everybody? I'm Jewell. This is Danny. Welcome to the warehouse. This podcast is about mindset, community, and the stories that shape who we are. Whether you're an athlete, artist, actress, just chasing your dreams or chasing greatness, this is a space to learn, connect, and grow. We're trying something different, a different format, a new us, but it's the same stories, same realness, where your craft meets community.
Yeah.
Let's get to it.
Let's get it.
Let's go.
How you been?
I'm good, man.
Oh my God. I feel like it's been such a wild ride this whole season. Coming from where we started at Notre Dame in that preseason, the expectations, the hype, the movement, just the momentum that was carrying, and to see how it was literally ebbs and flows, valleys, peaks, and it was a roller coaster ride. So let's get into that. Take us through it. Let's start off with, taking us through, the craft of it. Take us through, the start of the season came around, preseason came along. You guys won. Like I said, expectations were through the roof. And you guys were so prepared, I feel like. Take us through the beginning stages of that and your craft for their preparation.
I mean, understanding the expectations of the trade and going to Vegas and what we have and the legacy already built in Vegas, you're expected to have success right away. And that was not the case by any means for us. We were trying to figure it out. And at the same time, it is a new team. It's a new, we had new coaches. We're trying to figure out what's the best way that we could be ourselves within the system. And it just wasn't looking great. But we had a belief the whole time that, guys, just keep working, keep showing up. We know we could play better basketball. We know we could be better. We know we could figure these things out, but sometimes you just need to go through that. You got to take the long way. We mentioned that a lot in the locker room, that sometimes you got to go the long way to get to where you're going. Yeah. And that might be the best way. And that was, I guess, what we wanted to do this year. Not saying that we loved it. If there was a shortcut, we definitely would have took it. But, for us, it kind of just worked out that way.
You guys took the scenic route.
Yeah, we took the scenic route.
Yeah,
So
you didn't do the freeway. You guys weren't going 90 miles per hour one way to your destination.
No, definitely not.
But through that process, what was it like, when you guys started off, I think, the game against the Liberty, the opening game, losing there, and then kind of fun, finding your guys' groove, starting off, I believe you guys were 2-1, and then 2-2, and then you guys had to kind of pivot and transition to a new kind of feel. But that first four or five games, how did you guys feel? How did you guys gel?
We actually felt great. I still don't understand why Vegas was the opening game for New York. We could talk about that later, but that was interesting. But beyond that, I mean, every game we felt good. We felt like we were still evolving. We had a lot of things to learn and work on. There was a new defense that we're trying to learn. It's habits that we haven't had to work on in a long time. We had to go back to. So once we had to buy into the system, buy into what we were trying to do, and it was different and new terminology for a lot of people. Once that kind of settled in, then we were like, okay, but
yeah.
I mean, no one likes to lose. We're going and losing games. And honestly, a lot of the games that we were losing early on were fourth quarter. Yeah. We would have these leads, and then fourth quarter comes around, and next thing you know, we're down 2, we're down 7, and it's just we couldn't figure out how to finish games.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing from where I've watched is like, I think people had to give you guys more grace. Like, this is a new team. I know they have the core. I know they have Asian. They got Chelsea. They got Jackie. When they add someone like you and they put you in a lineup with them, and then it's also like some new faces on the team as well. Like, talk about like how just because there's star power on the team doesn't mean instant success, and the gelling is real. Like, talk about what you guys did to kind of get over that initial bump.
It's really difficult to gel right away. We all play different styles of basketball. We all have a different mindset. I mean, our goals are the same, obviously, to win a championship. How do we do that? And we want to play well, but you're basically putting together the like Avengers, right?
Yeah.
So like even like you watch the movies and it's like they still struggle. Like how am I'm a superhero myself. Now I'm joining a team. How can I figure out how we collectively can win, right? It's just still it takes a minute. You gotta trust each other. You know, you gotta see what everyone else could do and then also figure out how can you put your greatness in there too, not to be too much, but not lose your aggressiveness, not lose your voice. And so the best thing about this team was probably us being veterans and being in a lot of different situations that most other people haven't been in. You know, we played basketball at the highest level, been in the Olympics. You know, we've played in championship situations before. We've been in high level games in college, right? So our experience was what we really relied on all season to understand, you know, each person has greatness. Whether you're a starter coming off the bench, whether you sign, you know, a 10-day contract, whatever that is, everyone on this team has some kind of value and we just gotta figure out how to make the right, you know, equation work.
But it's crazy that with even all the experience you had at US or Team USA, all the experience you had, you know, playing in high level games, championship experience, you guys weren't there all the time playing with each other, right? The only time you've played with, you know, for example, Jackie, Chelsea, and Asia was just the Olympics, right? So the practices are great, but day to day, off season, a full workout with or a full off season with them, going through, you know, film sessions with them, going through the little nitty gritty, like that takes a minute.
Yeah. No, for
and
sure.
so, you know, going through that,
I think the biggest thing, it's like the first month of training camp and everything, I didn't really talk. I was just observing. And I think a lot of people get into situations and they just want to go. They don't understand their ecosystem. They don't understand what's needed, what's not needed, personnel wise, like anything. They just want to like, okay, I'm here. Like I know what I'm good at. I'm going to put that in. But sometimes you need to understand who you're working with and how people understand information, how they receive information. You know, this is my first time being around Becky, right? So how does she coach? Like it's a whole new coaching system that I've never been around before. So that's the big aspect
whole new staff too.
Whole new staff, you know,
different training methods.
Terminology was different. She was throwing out words. I'm like, what is that? Like, I don't know. Oh, we call it this over here. I'm like, oh, okay. So now I got to switch my mindset. So when I hear a certain coverage, it's not what I think it has been for the last 10 years. It's something different. So it's a whole different adjustment that you have to be willing to kind of get out of your comfort zone too, right? So the first month I didn't talk. I'm trying to figure out how Asia works, how Jackie works, how Chelsea works, and see how they connect and how they speak with each other, right? So like I want to see their relationship in the good and the bad times, right? And see how I can help in those instances too. So a lot of it was just like studying. I was just studying, and then you know, as the season got going, I understood, okay, this is what Jackie needs, you know, in these situations. This is what Chelsea needs in these situations. Asia, she needs this, right? So you kind of go down the line. I'm like, okay, Dana needs this. And so being able to take myself out of the equation and realize, okay, like I have to kind of, you know, monitor everything. I think that's what we need for this team because this team is so, we got some dogs in this team. We got aggressive dogs. We got wolves, you know, and so like, and not everyone can be a wolf at that time. You got to realize someone needs to go be a gatherer. Someone needs to go be, you know, something else. And so that's basically what I was realizing as we got further and further in the season. And then that allowed us to really work on our communication. Because now I'm asking you, hey, Chelsea, what do you need? Like, hey, Asia, what do you need? So now we're working on our voice, right? It's not just about our athletic ability. We knew we had the best guard and best player in the world on our team. That's a no-brainer, right? But like, if you guys can't communicate that and understand what each person needs at the right time, it's not gonna work.
Yeah. And it's different ways of perfecting and polishing your craft. Like you said, the voice is huge. Communication is huge.
Yeah.
Talk about, you know, the at one point throughout the season, you know, you guys had a couple small winning streaks, like 2 games in a row, 3 games in a row, but then dropped 2, 3 in a row. At one point sitting at 8 and 9, I think almost, and then 9 and 10, and then and something switched, right? But even through those tough times, how'd you guys rally around each other and build a certain community and bond within each other to like keep you guys going?
I said it all year, like this locker room, we we found ways to laugh through the pain. We found ways to a lot of pain,
Yeah.
man. No, we really
Smiling
did.
through it helps, though.
Smiling through it helps, man. I mean, we were able to really kind of work through it. We were able to be honest. There was a lot of film sessions, a lot of us just trying to figure out, what is going on. It didn't feel, even when we won, it didn't feel good. It didn't feel great, right? So we're like, that we won, but like something's missing. We don't know what that is. And so, I mean, regardless of what, winning or losing, we knew that there was something more. And our ability to kind of lock in on each other was really what, really got us started. I mean, we obviously, we talked about the 53-point loss, and that's something that's a staple that, kind of shifted our whole team and our season after that. But even before then, it was like, there's something that we're missing. Like, what are we missing? And we had no drama in the locker room. There was never any bickering, any arguing. There was never any pointing fingers. There was none of that. And a lot of that comes from, honestly, from Asia. Like, she's our leader. And, when she wasn't worried or concerned, it showed. And when she was able to build confidence in us, it showed, right? So she was steady all season, and we really relied on her in the locker room as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So Asia's been huge for you guys, like, as a bona fide leader.
Best player in the world.
Yeah.
Four-time MVP.
Killer.
Yeah.
4-time MVP. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, shout out Asia Wilson. She did an amazing job this season rallying the troops. But, with rallying, it's not just your teammates, right? Coaching staff, but, it's a whole new community too. You're in Las Vegas. The fans are awesome. They're a great, fan base. Did you guys feel it from the fans? You guys feel it from that community? Because every time I travel and I go see your guys' away games, they're always there. I see the same 10, 12 faces I've seen everywhere, and they just travel so well. But
no, it's for sure the fans. I don't think a lot of fans get enough credit for how they show up, and a lot of times, since we don't always get a chance to like say thank you to each and every fan that comes to the games or who go on the road, or even people in the tunnel, you try to high five them as much as you can or sign autographs. It doesn't always happen, but the only people that understood what we were doing and trying to build were really the people in the gym and people in the locker room. And even at times there'd be people who were like, what's going on? The aces aren't the same, and everything like that. But the people who were actually there and traveled with us were seeing what we were building. And, having the community around you to have your back when it doesn't look great, it's super key. We talk about how community is so important to us here at the warehouse. Again, like and subscribe to the warehouse, share with your friends. But, it's the people around here that make a difference too. I'm calling them. Everyone's calling like, hey, you good? Are you good? I'm like, I don't know. We're just not what we thought we were right now. Like, give us some time, be patient. I saw you when we played in LA and even in the Bay. I was like, yeah, we're good. We'll figure it out. Like, yeah, we're fine. But it's knowing that the people behind you too, like, have that same vision. Now everyone else is panicking and makes you start to panic too. You kind of get a little
100%.
worried, but luckily the people around in Vegas, even the ownership, Mark was amazing too, like having our backs and, being honest with us, but also knowing like, hey, like, we support you guys. And Becky felt that as well, as being the coach and being our leader and head, and taking all the pressure off of us, and being had to answer a lot of questions, media and things like that. So knowing that she had our backs, the fans had our backs, the community of Vegas had our backs, and they definitely showed up for the parade.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That was unforgivable.
Yeah.
And when you work hard, it ends up in some way like, or it ends up like that. So, but we're at the warehouse. Anybody from the warehouse reach out? I'm pretty sure. Was Steve in your ear?
The interesting thing about this season was I had to learn how to use my voice more too, and it was a different role and a different thing for me coming to this season, and what had to shift my mindset, and we'll get into that a little later. But Steve was calling me, Monte's calling me, people who I've trained with here at the warehouse, everyone's calling me, but it was a different narrative, right? It was like more so like, what are you doing? Like, why is this? And I had to kind of like, hey, I got it. Like, I see something here that you guys don't see. You guys aren't here. I had to kind of remove them a little bit, because sometimes they don't see the vision that you see. They don't see where the shift is happening. And so as much as they were supporting me, it kind of also stressed me out a little bit. And I didn't need that on top of everything we were trying to figure out. So I actually had to kind of slowly deny their calls, not answer them for a couple months. And then once you started kind of get rolling, then they started to believe. Then they started to see. Then they started to realize what was going on. And then they came to the parade and celebrated, and everyone's, we're all friends again, right? But it's a different formula for sure.
It's almost like I told you so.
Yeah, I was like, all right, like,
I told you so.
Let's take a breath. Everyone don't panic, and sometimes you need to do that.
Yeah. I know it was kind of tough, telling your loved ones basically, like, I have a vision, I have something that you guys are going to see. And so it was basically like, and I told you so. So like, the habits that went into it, even when they didn't see it. They always say the people who work the hardest work when it's not seen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're doing things behind the curtain, behind the scenes, and it's kind of like the swan. It looks amazing over here, but under the water, the feet are kicking like crazy. So talk to us about your guys' habits, even when the season wasn't looking too bright at the moment.
The habits should never change based on the result.
Yeah.
And so we knew we weren't getting the results that we wanted,
Mhm.
but we had to keep practicing. We had to go into the film room. We had to work on individual games. We had to do something more than just, oh, whatever. We kept saying it was gonna happen, but if we weren't working behind the scenes, it was not gonna happen. And so no one really took a break. Everyone was doing what they're normally doing. Everyone was lifting. Everyone was getting extra conditioning. It was the same mindset. Like the only thing we could really rely on is the work. And so that's what we did. It's just we worked, and it wasn't like we were working because we were panicking, but we were working because we wanted to perfect, our craft.
Mm-hmm. And when you say that, was it more like individually, like you had to kind of change something, or was it more like, hey, I want to pair up, like, hey, maybe it is you and Asia after practice taking 50 extra more shots or 100 extra or 100x more shots or doing a certain drill, like, talk to us throughout that, the process throughout that.
I'm trying to think of like if this was before or after me asking to come off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not, I mean, even before, it was kind of funny. When I first got to Vegas, everyone's like, no, we practice, like, for real. Like, we get up and down. I'm like, yeah, okay. Like,
yeah,
I know, like, why would you not practice playing basketball,
Right.
And so I was coming in at like 5 a.m, lifting, doing my running like 2 miles a day, like doing the, like, everything I need to do for cardio purposes. And then, the coach comes in, she's like, hey, like, we're playing 5-on-5 today. I'm like, yes, I know everyone's telling me we get up and down. And then, we start practice and we're playing like a full game. I'm like, oh, that's different. We didn't do that in Seattle. We didn't play full games. We didn't have refs come in. That's a little different. So I had to change a little bit of my structure because I needed my legs for practice. Like usually we just never ran that much, in a long time in Seattle. We didn't have like live play like that. It was like certain segments, but it wasn't like that. So I had to change, kind of my habits of how I wanted to structure my cardio. So then, going through the season, it's like, okay, what do we need for this season? Like, what do I need? And I think even coming off the bench, it's like, well, I still can't be like, oh, I only play 20 minutes. I'm not going to be in the best shape of my life. It's like, no, I need to still be in shape. So it's whether I wasn't, going in at 7 a.m, I was still doing my cardio in a different way, right? More like sprints. I stop and goes more so I could save my legs for practice because I want to make sure that when I got to practice, I had my legs, right? And me able to run to the corner, which was a big emphasis, get your ass to the corner, shoot those threes. That was my job. So I'm like, that's a different sprint. I have to beat everyone down there plus the ball to make sure I'm setting up for, spacing for my teammates. Because it's not necessarily always shooting the three. It's getting the floor space for Asia to go down there and dominate, right? Or, the trailer three behind. So it was a different mindset of how I wanted to train, but it was still getting up reps constantly.
It was still a full-on workout, but just in a different way, different methods of doing it, so you can have conditioning for basically a full-on game and in-game situations, game reps. Everything is at game speed.
Oh, for sure. And what's funny? It's like Steve always says, like, I don't know why people train so slow. Like, train how you play in the game. Like, everything should be quick. Like, no one's taking their time. Like, oh, no one's gonna block my shot. No, it should be like game rhythm. So you could be effective and not have to go for 5 hours and still be productive and get your game speed reps. And so I just kind of changed that way to make sure I was still fresh, obviously for games and, for practice. But it's like sometimes you could kind of look at the narrative and like, man, I'm too tired. I'm just not going to do it. Like, oh, I'm only going to shoot 200 shots and like, not 500. It's like, well, if your goal is 500 shots, you should probably be getting up 500 shots. So if that means you got to come back late at night. And I know we talked to DeMar a couple, months ago, and he's like, I used to come back at night every single time. So it's like you could find time to like make sure you're rested to get the quality reps, but you can also shift the way you work out.
Yeah, and I know it's a little bit different, right? So you said the workouts are different now with Vegas. What about film session? That's a whole different side of the ball that not a lot of people know. It's not all just about the, getting your dribbling drills in, getting your handling in, getting your finishes in. It's, studying the game as well. So take us through, take us through a typical Becky Hammond film session in a good way or a bad way. Could be a loss, could be a win, but, take us through what that film session really looks like. And how different it is.
Yeah. It's like, well,
and how
in
different
the losses,
it is.
we walk in and, on our board, we have, everything that be kind of our goals and everything before the games. And so we walk in and we all kind of walk to see if like, did we win these battles? Is there a check? Is there like a plus and minus? And obviously during our losing phases, we were not very good at making sure we were checking off all those goals. But obviously as the season progressed, you know, we were seeing everything getting better and better. And sometimes you need to see that because Becky was like, you guys are getting better. Like, our numbers are getting better. And we're like, no, we're not. We're losing. Like, you know, like, we're losing games.
See that you
yeah,
don't,
I'm like,
you know
what are you
I mean?
talking about? Like, we just lost the last 4 games. She's like, no, we're getting better. We're climbing the ladder. Like, and we're like, we're not. And then you see the numbers and you're like, oh, I guess, you know, we're a little bit better. And then you start to see the wins. But, like, sometimes you need to see something that's tangible, you know, to really believe that, like, it's actually happening. Because you don't always feel it, you know? Like I said, we're losing games. And yet Becky's like, no, you guys are getting better. And we're like, that doesn't make sense, you know? But yeah, film sessions were very thorough.
Yeah.
Very thorough. Very honest. You know, there's a saying that we laugh at now, you know, Becky was watching someone on film and, you know, the person was just standing there, you know, just kind of chilling with the hand on the hip and, you know, just chilling and not helping the team out when we kind of needed it. And she's like, you know, what are you doing? Getting that latte? You know, it's like, ooh, it's kind of funny, but like, it's actually like, yeah, it's true. So it's very honest in the film sessions. It's very open and it's very collective. Yeah. Like, we're able to also give feedback too. Like, this is what I thought. This is what I saw. And so Becky allows you to have a voice, which is also really good. Because a lot of times in film, it's like just the coach telling you this, and this, whether it's good or bad. You don't really have a voice. Or they ask a question and it's like, do I answer or do I not say anything? It's like, no, it's very collective and everyone's able to use their voice and tell, you know, say, hey, this is what I believe that, you know, she was doing. My bad, my fault, you know? And it's nice because you're saying that in front of your teammates as well. Yeah. So it's like, you're able to own up to your mistakes, but also own up to when you're doing something right. And so everyone, our coaches, staff, even some of our practice players are in there, they're seeing and watching it and helping you break down. But then you go out on the court, they're also helping you stay accountable to what you just said 2 minutes ago too. So it was very detail oriented, something that I haven't really been around like that in a very, very long time. Yeah. I mean, she broke down every single film and just Becky's IQ needs to be studied. It's so high, bro. Like, her understanding of how to like pick apart players, coaches, like plays, like how to just set people up. It's just unbelievable. Oh my God.
Well, I mean, that's why she's, you know, Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame coach, Hall of Fame player, and, you know, one of the greats to, you know, be on the sidelines.
For sure.
Man. So her being so thorough, and the coaching staff doing a great job, you know, you know, watching you guys work and everything like that. Take us through, you know, a situation, or was there a time that you felt like, man, like, I got to get extra coaching? I gotta, you know, push everything aside. I gotta set some time to get some work in.
I think the hardest, I don't want to say the hardest thing, but the most uncomfortable thing for me all season was understanding, like, I know that I could take someone off the dribble. Yeah. I know that I could have step backs. I know I could do up and unders. I know I can get to the free throw line, but knowing when to do that, you know, and getting so comfortable in my role of being basically, I always sound like, I'm like a tight end out there, you know, I'm blocking. You know, I'm running the out routes. I'm just catching, going long, whatever you need me to do. That's what I'm, you know, here to do. And I love that role, honestly. But then the coaches, you know, would be like, hey, like, get in your bag a little bit. I'm like, I know, I get it. I still, I'm not old. I'm not washed. I don't, you know, I still got it. But I'm also looking for what's around us, and I don't need to do that. You know, I see what I can do, and I know I can set people up other ways, and like I could do more on the other side than just being in my bag. Yeah. So I think when I went to go talk to coaches, it was like we need that from you. We need that to win a championship. We need you to be in your bag. And I'm like, you pick and choose when I'm gonna do that. And that was like the hardest thing for me because I just saw like a different vision for the team, and it did not include me being in my bag. And that's like
playing a specific role.
Yeah, it didn't connect. And it's like there was chances, you know, there was moments when, you know, Asia didn't play and we all had to step up, and I had, you know, and I was like, okay, this is when I need to be, you know, more aggressive and have to do this. But I'm also seeing what's going on. I'm like, we don't need it. There's moments where we need it, but I know when to choose and what my team needs, and that's just not, they want to see it because they just love basketball. You know, like Ty loves basketball, Coach Ty, and you know, he's seen that. He watches film. He's like, where is that? I'm like, don't worry, it's still there, but I don't think I need it right now.
Yeah, I feel like on court, that's such a tough transition for you too. Like on the court, like, you know, you're going from putting up numbers. I'm talking like 23 points a game, 25 points a game, close to 30 points a game sometimes, like in stretches, and, you know, taking shots and taking big shots and pivotal, and the first quarter, usually the first play would go to you. You know what I mean? Like that transition is something that the fans don't really realize, or the viewers don't really realize. So you making that sacrifice, and we'll get into that part in just a minute, but you making that sacrifice even when you were in the lineup starting, did you almost feel bad about taking a few extra shots? Or did you feel like I need to get mine? Because you have so many all-stars on the floor the whole time.
That's the question you have to ask yourself, the moment you get the ball with 0.5 decision making, right? Like, what do I do with the ball?
Yeah.
Like, can I take my player? Of course. When you're really skilled and you have the craft, you could take anyone every single possession. Like, that's a no-brainer. But what are you doing with it? Like, how you executing it? And for me, I understood, like, my threat is my presence, not necessarily my handles right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's the thought of them knowing what I can do is how we're going to beat, like how they're going to help off and why they're going to do this, right? And so I had to kind of shift that mindset too. It's understanding that it's like, it's my presence. I've done enough in this league to have my presence be a factor.
Mm-hmm.
So let that work for me, and then let everybody else work from that.
So no matter if you're 6 for 6 or 0 for 6, it's still a threat out there. That's still Jewell Loyd chilling in the corner. If that, it's still Jewell Loyd making cuts, screening, picking, popping,
100%.
doing whatever it needs to be done. You're still a threat out there.
I mean, think about it. My first game winner.
Yeah.
I was 0 for like 9 all game.
Yeah.
Shooting like shit. Okay. Yeah. Asia still gives me the ball to hit the game winner. It's like they know.
Yeah.
Like Hoopers know it's the present. And so having that and having my teammates understand who I am, like that's a big factor.
Yeah.
Like they never forgot. Like it wasn't like, oh, like Jewell's is no, they know, and that gave me confidence too. But like I said, I was 0 for 9 and hit the game winner. Like it's just, I don't know, one of those things.
Yeah. Sometimes when you feel like you're looking at box scores and, the typical Jewell Loyd stat line isn't there, but you feel like you could still do that. But did you have to like rediscover a whole new craft this season?
No. Honestly, like you guys have seen the scoring, Jewell, but I wasn't always good. Like I wasn't always great. I wasn't always the best person on my team. So the way I played when I was, in 6th, 7th grade, like, yeah, I could score. But then when I played AAU, I was the youngest person on this team that never lost. So I had to go in there and find ways to make the team, like find ways to impact the game beyond just scoring. Like I wasn't the best scorer. I wasn't even a shooter. Like I just worked harder than everybody else. So that's a side of me that's how I grew up playing. Growing at the parks, coming to the warehouse, like these guys are bigger, stronger, faster than me. So I had to find other ways that I could be on the court.
Be effective.
Like, be effective, right? So I had to be in better shape. I could last longer. I could get up and down the court and get some easy layups, right? I could go get a rebounds when they're tired, like get some pickpocket steals here and there. So those are things that I've been doing my whole life because I always want like, this all-star scoring guard. But as I got, older and better in the league, you guys have just always seen me as a scoring guard. So for me, it was like, I'm going to go back to like the basics, like Drake Park, warehouse, Jewell Loyd, of like just outworking people, like beating people to the spots, doing all the little things that got me to the ability to be an offensive threat.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And sometimes it is just finding your rhythm in different ways, right? A great score is not always just going to be like, torching the nets and hitting step back threes. It's getting a steal, I mean, getting your teammates going, getting to the free throw line, doing the little things to be effective.
The goal is to win. Like, to win and have fun. And I had both those things this season.
Yeah.
Like, and I was having fun having 6 points. I was at peace, like going out there and like having 2 points. Like, mind you, I'm like, the competitor in me is like, okay, like, come on. Like, I know I could get more than, 2 points, 6 points.
Yeah.
But I was like, you go back and watch film, like there's a smile on my face. There's a different element to my presence than just like, oh, me. But I've never been about me.
Yeah.
I just had to do things to help us win.
Mm-hmm.
So
and if it came to scoring,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
But like, I always say this, man. Like I always give Jewell credit. She never takes playoff. This is the Jewell Loyd that she's doing defensive slides all game long, never hands on the hips, never feeling tired, even though she is tired. Like I always give you credit, and you're taking a lot of hits this year,
dude.
Took a lot of hits this year.
I might have been a fullback.
No, literally. Like if I needed a lead blocker, I'm putting Jewell in front of me. I need to score. So kudos to you. Your work ethic is always going to be shown.
Welcome to halftime. Craziness. Growing up, I played baseball. Okay, and so my dad would come and watch me play, and my dad, he's like, this like matter of fact guy, hat to the back, whatever. And so we were like, shout out to Calvin. We weren't that good. This is like, I don't know,
like Pee Wee baseball.
Yeah, you know. And so I would lose games, and I would cry after every game, right? So it got to a point where my dad's like, okay, listen, like you're either gonna keep crying or you're gonna find ways to win. Yeah. Like that's it. He's like, just stop crying. And I like didn't understand. I'm like, Dad, I just want to hug. Like a hug and some ice cream. He's like, no, like stop crying, figure out how to win, or keep crying and just be like a loser. I was like, thanks, Dad. Like a really motivational speech here for a 6-year-old going into baseball with all the boys. I'm the only girl out there, so I'm just trying to make you proud, Dad. Like no big deal. But I mean, going into that, I mean, that's kind of what we had to do. It's through this season, it's like find ways to win, and we were able to do that. And it was a whole different perspective, whole different mindset that you have to kind of go into to find ways to freaking win. Like you want to be upset every single time you go into the locker room? Probably not. So figure it out.
Yeah.
While you're figuring it out, you might as well like and subscribe to the Warehouse.
Yeah. At an early age, you learned, if you keep doing the same things over and over and over again, that's basically just insanity. This big Jewell learning that, learning how to win at an early age, which is great because, it propels you and it gets you over any kind of bump in life. You know what I mean? And, your mindset has to change, And so speaking of that, like July 27th, game against the Dallas Wings, interesting. I'm looking, I'm about to watch the game. I'm looking. I look at the lineup. Chelsea, okay. Asia, okay. Jackie, okay. Where's Jewell? Jewell, where'd you go? Jewell is Kirsten Bell starting, and it was Jewell's the bench. And so the mindset going into that, what changed? What made the decision? Like, what was the ultimate decision of you going to the bench?
I just felt like it was the right decision, and I wasn't afraid to make that decision.
And so was you.
It was me going to Becky saying, I'm coming off the bench. And she's like, no, you're not. I was like, yes, I am.
So it was Jewell Loyd that wanted to come off the pine.
100%. I just felt like what we had and what we needed, what the rhythm was. I trusted, KB. I trusted Dana. I trusted everyone in the locker room. I'm like, this just makes sense. Like, what are we missing? How can I fill this void? What's better for us to win? And so I'm like, listen, if it works, we'll keep it. If it doesn't work, we go back. But we don't know until we try, right? Yeah. And so that was the mindset of that. And it turned out, Dallas game was the first game we kind of worked with it. And KB went off and everyone was vibing to that. And then, I shot really well for like the first time all season. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well, let's see how it works.
It's pretty nice when you have a superstar coming off the bench and giving you 20. I mean, you were in that Ginobili role. You're in that original Harden role, basically coming in. So what's the mindset as a guard like yourself coming in as, what's your role now? I know you're a 6-man and you have to kind of run the offense, but like what changes throughout the process? Like, how are you looking to attack? Does that change? Or are you playing your same game? Like what does that look like?
I'm really playing the same way, maybe a little bit more aggressive, but you're kind of seeing what's needed, right? You're also waiting to see, who's coming in to guard me in the second unit, who's tired, is going to guard me, kind of give Jackie a break defensively as well. You kind of see different matchups, but for me, my goal is the same. I'm going to go in there every single game and bring energy. I'm going to crash some boards, do all the little things that I need to be doing. So then everyone else could take a break, right? Like our goal coming off the bench is to either change the momentum and shift it to us or keep going and building on the lead, right? And so that's kind of our perspective, and Dana and I would talk about it all the time, like, hey, like what do we need to do? And so we kind of had a tag team and a connection that was really unique and different all season, and we played really well together. And so having that mindset and knowing like, she comes in, all right, it's a different speed, different attack, and different mindset that people just can't really guard, and then you come out and now playing with the first unit. So it's like a whole different mindset and perspective of things that are just different.
You guys had some crazy synergy between you and Dana. Tell us about, talk about Dana Evans.
Yeah, Dana from Gary, baby.
Yeah,
Gary, Indiana. Like, the big D, not the little. We always mess with her, but, it's like, she's a dog. But, her ability to get downhill, she's so fast, so gifted, so talented. It's just a whole different way to guard her. And a lot of people are, a little timid to guard fast guards. And so it's defensively too. You got a little guard in your shit the whole time. It's just like,
not backing down.
Dude, it's a pest.
Just like on your hip constantly.
She's about that life. Yeah. She saw in the playoffs. She's about that life. So you don't test her. So like,
flexing the shoulders a little bit.
Exactly. Like she knows what she's doing. So, having that concept, having her do that, and you have the great guard wings on the side guarding, protecting that side. Then you got Asia in the back. I mean, it was just a different point of attack, and it's really hard to guard that. Then it's also hard to, other way. You got a full court pressure. Like no one likes to be guarded full court. Like that's just annoying. And like you don't really see that much in the league. Yeah. And people who do it, I mean, it bothers people. So you just kind of want to be annoying, really. And our job, as much as we, it takes a lot of hard work. Both of us, we just want to be annoying. We want to be present. Every time you saw us, you saw a different line of attack.
You guys caused so much havoc, so much chaos defensively. And as you coming off, like, the vision of the game, or like the eye for the game, kind of changes too, right? So like when you coming in, you're kind of looking around, as you mentioned, but then when you get to play with the starters again, how does that kind of fit? Because now do you still feel like I can still run this whole unit even when you're with the ones?
Yeah, but the first unit, it's the same. Now it's just a different attack. I have a different mindset from Chelsea, right? Like how she's going to find us, a different perspective of where Jackie needs me to cut and where to be precisely. Same thing with Asia. It gives her a little bit more freedom on the sides because now you can't really help off the corners. So now her middle and her 45 attack are a little bit different than you have someone else in there. So now I knew I could really be more tactical of how I want to approach the game and how I want to approach the moments. But I also knew like just where it needs to be. Like I'm a really great screener. So like for Asia, she gets a little bit cleaner looks because I'm setting better screens, right? So I knew all these little things that I could add to the game and the court, but it's just a mindset of understanding how to be just a little more efficient with my movement.
Yeah. And it takes a lot of pride to swallow to go from a starting role to a the 6. But you were willing to do that. And not a lot of superstars would do that. Again, credit to you on that, because at the end of the day, what matters most? Winning.
And
that was a winning move.
Yeah. It's people are like, it's be so hard for a future Hall of Famer to come off the bench. I'm like, I just want to win.
Yeah.
like
okay.
If that means I sat on the bench and we won, like I still would be happy. Like I feel like I could always contribute, but like I want to win. Like that's why I play the game. I want to have fun. I want to be, add some kind of, something to the team, enjoy the process and win.
Regardless of you being at tip-off over here, matching up, or you coming out, getting up for the chair, taking the warm-ups off and getting in, like something's kind of changed, but nothing's really changed because you're still closing out games. You're still playing those like 30 or 32 minutes games. So
it's about winning, man. Like it's finding ways to win. And the same little 6-year-old Jewell who was crying, trying to figure out how to do that. Like it's the same mindset. It's like, okay, how do we do that? It doesn't matter where I am at the court, but am I contributing to wins? Am I bringing energy? Am I being a good teammate? Am I showing up? Is my presence the same? Like all these little things that people don't always want to do because it takes work and effort. You have to do that.
Yeah.
And that's being a professional. That's being, what Kobe always said, be epic and create forever. That's what that is to me. And it's never been about just me personally. It's how can everyone around us collectively, achieve a goal. And that was winning a championship.
So coming off the bench now, the game, as I mentioned, July 27th, big date, right? So had the 20-piece, going to LA win, and then the loss of all losses, basically.
Yeah.
Going into it.
Yeah. Got our ass kicked. No big deal.
The Minnesota game.
Yeah.
I know it was a tough pill to swallow, but is it almost easier to forget when it's a blowout rather than a dagger loss? Was there some kind of positivity or a light at the end of the tunnel at that game? Like, what was it after? Like when you guys sat down in the locker room, what was that?
Well, it was awful.
Yeah.
In the locker room, 30 minutes, maybe to an hour after, Asia texted the group, and just kind of encouraged us, was honest with us, but it was very, there's a lot of direction in the text of where we need to go and where we need to be as people, as teammates, as professionals. But, because of how the season ended, we could look back at that loss and be like, yo,
funny,
we just lost by 53 points.
Yeah.
Like, no big deal. But, we needed that. We needed some kind of wake-up call. But we had wake-up calls early in the season, too. But that one felt different, right?
Yeah.
That was more of a statement win for them, right? And I just remember thinking, like, okay, this is not who we are. Yeah. Is that who Minnesota is? Yeah, they've been good all season. Like, that's a good-ass team. And they shot lights out. And we didn't show up. And there was no effort. And we could do all that. But we knew we could play better.
Yeah.
We knew we could get better. We knew there's a lot of things that we had to do, but it had nothing to do with basketball. It was us being humans. It was us being more vulnerable with each other and speaking and talking more and really buying into each other more. And that's what allowed us to be better basketball players. It had nothing to do with basketball. It was just us personally. And it was a reality check. That's for us, for our coaching staff, or where we wanted to be. Like, we held everyone accountable. And then after that shift, we started doing all our scouting reports. Like, we started doing our breakdowns, our goals for the games, and going to Becky and be like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And so we took more accountability. So after that, we're like, you know what? We gotta own our shit, and we gotta do it together. And that allowed us to really be even more collective and hold each other more accountable going into the season.
Yeah. And that's a whole other mindset change as well. It's not just like your role on the court. It's like, what are the little things you guys did to get there as well? The 53-point loss then sparks into one of the greatest turnarounds, basically, in not even WNBA history, but basketball history. You guys go from a team medaling 500, I hated having to like not watch your games, but look at it to like, when they show the standings.
Yeah.
Hey, this is the playoff breakdown,
like
blah, blah,
here.
blah. It's like Minnesota, New York, Indiana, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, where's Vegas? You there? Like, you know what I mean? I'm looking and I'm like, at the 9 seed, 8 seed, 7 seed, and they're like creeping up. And it's like that 53-point loss then kind of skyrocketed everything and shot everybody up. And so that winning streak, that roller coaster ride of a streak.
Yeah.
When you guys are starting off here and then climbing and climbing and climbing, take us through that process.
It was magical. Like we were finally, everything started to click.
Yeah.
Everything we talked about in film, everything we talked about, in the locker room, how we were showing up for each other, how we were showing up for our coaches, how we showing up to just being, professionals and enjoying the process and enjoying like the ups and downs, even throughout the game. Like we were just steady. How we showed up in our little huddles in the game. We were just really focused and locked in. And we were like, listen, like, we got to keep this going. And we weren't really concerned about, how many wins we had in a row. It was just like how we felt. We felt good after games. We felt good on the court. We've looked at and we're like, oh, we're winning this game. Yeah. Like we found ways to win. And that was like the narrative. It's like, it might have been an ugly ass game, but we found ways to win. Yeah. I mean, we played some really close games playing in Atlanta. Yep.
Oh,
like, I mean, that was like a crazy atmosphere game. Like those games were like grueling and like, I mean, possession by possession, we're fighting. The game changed every like 2 seconds, right? So like all those things were like preparing us for the playoffs, right? They're preparing us for war and battle. And we didn't really realize it. But like I said, we went the scenic route. We went the long way, right? And in that stretch, it was insane to watch. Like after we were like, did we really just win that many games in a row? Like in this league, that's like one of the hardest leagues in the world, we did that. Like it was unbelievable.
17 games?
Yeah.
Longest WNBA history?
Oh my gosh, unbelievable. It's just like, that just doesn't happen anymore, right?
And
it's just hard to do.
And like you said, along the way, you guys took a senior route. A couple Jewell Loyd game winners here and there, a couple 20-piece games, a couple performances where Asia just looked like unguardable, just a force.
Yeah,
you like to call her Michael Myers because she just keeps coming back. Like you can't
all
you
the
can't
time,
kill her.
Man. You can't. I don't know. I don't care what you do. It's just, she's gonna figure it out, and she's still gonna execute. She's still gonna. It's awesome. She's awesome.
And the team just felt so. The bond, it just felt so like united.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? You guys are already cool, but it's like that relationship just got deeper. Whether it was an ugly win, whether it was a game winner, whether it was a blowout during that streak, like you guys were such a unit. You guys were so tight knitted, and it was like such a deeper bond. But like, how was that? How was the locker room after each win? Like,
I mean,
sigh of relief sometimes and all that. Like, what was it?
I mean, it was like, thank God we have Asia, a lot of times. But that's saying, like, when you go through some shit, like that brings you together.
Yeah.
We were so connected, and almost every single person on this team went through something outside of basketball that brought us together.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of empathy for each other. We rallied around each other. We cried together.
Yeah.
It was a different season, and this was like a really emotional win. Every win was an emotional win because we knew what people went through to get there, to even show up, to even play basketball. Because a lot of times it wasn't about basketball; it was just showing up. And so, we were tight, and the group chat's still active.
Yeah.
The group chat's still active.
Yeah, it was crazy to watch. Like, I'm seeing like Asia dominate, Malakismail grabbing every single rebound possible.
Yeah,
hitting corner threes.
Listen,
getting into her bag. Like she was such a big piece for you guys too, man. It was
the vibes reviving, man. Everyone was supposed to be where they were supposed to be, and everything worked out well. And this locker room was just so supportive. It was fun. It was definitely a fun locker room.
The ultimate success, right, this year, winning the championship. Someone like you who's accomplished so much in an 11-year career. Simple question is, what's next?
What's next? I think a lot of times it's like you want to have it mapped out and planned out. There's obviously some little uncertainty going into 26, like what it looks like, what it can be, where players going, where they're going to grow to. I feel like the next 5 years, and I've said this actually even before, I think the next 10 years of my life are going to be the best 10 years of my life.
Yeah.
I think the knowledge that I have, the wisdom I have, the struggles I've been through on and off the court has just made me to a different version of myself, a different perspective of how I see the game. And I think that kind of played a role how I did in this season basis. Like, I just wanted to have fun. I just wanted to have this joy. I wanted to get back to just playing like basketball in the purest form possible.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't matter if I was scoring a lot or missing a lot or scoring and hitting 10 in a row.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, it's like, I just want to have fun.
Yeah.
And that shift happened this season for all of us. And that's why I think we got into the streak, right? We were having fun basketball and playing fun basketball. It was fun for the fans, fun for us.
Playing for one another.
100%. So like now, like the next 5 to 10 years of my life on and off the court has to kind of emulate that.
Yeah.
Of that joy constantly, like being present in every single day, the good and the bad, and just being present. You always find some kind of positive through that. And, you know, I still want to obviously dominate. If the goal obviously is to try to make, 28 Olympics, right? Have that be, possibly one of my last Olympics, and have that as a hurrah moment for that, for me and my family. So get my body to, endure the next couple of years to make sure I'm prime and ready for that. But I just want to hoop, man.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to hoop.
I know you do.
Yeah, that's it.
I know you do. And the crazy part is like, you just came off a championship, but like, when does the mind start thinking the next one?
Yeah.
Not next game, the next champion, like the next season. Like, when does that kind of tune and focus come into play?
I feel like once you kind of get back to training camp, you start to see certain puzzle pieces come together. Everyone who comes into training camp, that's their goal. It's to win a championship. I don't think most people come into training camp and say, yeah, I just want to be here. I just want the jersey. I want to take pictures for the gram. Maybe that is something that people do and, whatever. But, if you're really about the game and trying to compete and build a championship team, you're trying to do that constantly. So you want to think of how can you get better, right? So that's when the film sessions come in for me to like go back and watch certain games. But like it's really just working on my craft again and finding ways. Like I know if I put myself in the best shape possible and the best, ability mentally to just go out and perform, I should be on a team around people that could get to another championship.
Yeah.
Like I just believe that, and my ability to kind of galvanize the team together, strategically, physically, whatever, push people that we need to be pushed to get there. But it should start right away, kind of, like you want to rest a little bit because you just like need
like
the time
I just
to
came off a championship, bro. Like give me a time to breathe.
100%. But you also want to like stay hungry.
Yeah,
I think that just makes athletes. They're always trying to get better every single day, and whatever you need to do that.
Yeah. So your favorite championship's the next one.
Right now, my favorite championship is this one.
Okay.
I'm gonna value this one, and then figure out how to attack the next one. And you want to get greedy.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to be playing basketball until I'm like 50 and I'm like broken down trying to get this next fucking championship. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, that's not where I'm at in my life. Like I want to enjoy it and want to walk away from the game still being in one piece, healthy. How I came into the game,
Yeah. Have you watched any of the playoff games? Have you watched the finals at all? Have you even like thought about putting it on TV? You're just replaying it. Have you replayed any of the playoff games or even the finals games?
I have not watched one playoff game back. Not one. From Seattle series, Indiana series, finals. I've seen obviously highlights because they've been everywhere, but to actually watch the game through and through, nope.
Okay.
Not yet.
No,
brother.
no, of course. That's gonna be film session. That's gonna be something on your checklist. But when they talk about all the sports shows, the personalities talk about legacy, right? And I hate to bring it up like that, like because you're still writing yours, but like as of right now, if you were to leave the game right now, if you were to, what would you think your legacy would be? Or what you have left?
Yeah. I feel like my legacy and what it's molding it to be, it's just my work ethic. I think my toughness mentally, and the way I really served others. I think I've been really keen on making sure that everything I do always goes back to serving others, and that's something I've always been able to do, which I'm very fortunate to do. But how I show up for my teammates, for the game of basketball, for the fans, all the little things, I think people will remember that. And you mentioned all the time, like I never take a play off, so I think having that mindset of that would be probably something that will come together. But maybe stuff I do off the court too. I hope that's talked about way more because that's something that can be rooted in so many other things. But I mean, I don't know. I think I've hoped that I've inspired a lot of people with my storytelling, with my story, to go out there and be the best version of themselves every single day. But I think it's still building. I mean, I hope that I'm able to kind of give you a better answer once I retire and say this is what it is. This is the staple. But it's also I think what's cool about legacy is like it can be different how you view me.
Yep.
You know, it can be different from how our viewership over here, you know, who watch the warehouse view it. You could take a piece of me and you know, collectively the community can make it whole. So I think that's kind of the cool thing about legacy. It's like it's not just one thing. It's for just someone. It could be, you know, it's completely different.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you mention my name, you're always gonna remember, you know, a champion, a winner.
Yeah.
That's just, you know, what it is.
Yeah. I mean, put it that way. I mean, that's what Kobe said: be epic and
create forever.
Create forever.
Yeah, create forever.
Thank you for tuning in, guys. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the Warehouse. I'm Danny. This is Jewell. We out.
We out.